Team building is so important, but are you doing it wrong? That's the topic today on What the Heck is Happening in HR. For our podcast disclaimer, please visit the episode description. Thanks for listening to What the Heck is Happening in HR, and today we're going to talk about team building. Boy, there are all sorts of episodes from The Office about team building, and sometimes it's so close to truth, I wonder if it's a documentary rather than a comedy. But today I want to talk about two things with team building. Why are we doing team building, and how can we make it better? And so this is whether you're a manager, or you're a supervisor, or whether you're an employee trying to pull things together with other employees and you just want to volunteer. So one of the things I learned many years ago, I helped set up what was called a corporate volunteer council up in Washington, D.C. And one of the things I learned, I thought everybody liked to do everything. I mean, I was young in my early 20s. I figured that's what everybody did. But I found it wasn't true. And it was really helpful in me understanding that I was making assumptions that everybody thought like I did. I got many of those whacks on the side of my head, and this was one of them. Because there are people who like to work with animals. There are people who like to work with kids. There are people who like to volunteer with older people. There are people who like to do something maybe every week. There are people who like to do something one day, then I'm done. I might do it 4 times a year. There are people who want to do something perhaps around a season. So we need to take into account those things that people might want to do or not want to do. And sometimes as bosses, we think we need, or as HR, we think we need to have the answer. Okay, here we are. We're all going to have forced fun on this day, and we're going to build the team. Well, why don't we just find out what people want to do, or perhaps what they're doing, and what can we do to help support what they're doing? So maybe they're very much into the environment, and maybe your business has something to do with the environment. Or maybe there's something that can happen every day, like recycling plastic bottles or using a fountain, a water fountain that has a refill, and handing out bottles so people refill their own bottles rather than use the plastic bottles. Or maybe it's just something else that's related to the environment. Maybe it's even just helping them quit smoking. And that we know alone helps their health and the environment. So I just wanted to give you a few ideas about team building and perhaps some of the things that we need to think about. We want to also think about when we do team building. Do we do team building on a Saturday when we've already got them working 60, 70 hours? Do we do team building at night? Come to happy hour. Well, maybe I don't drink. Maybe I'm trying to stop drinking. Maybe, and I went to a lot of happy hours, but that's a whole nother session. And so we don't want to assume that that's what people consider as what they want to have for fun. So we need to think about when, and if it's important, we will do it during the day. If it's important, we will say the organization is behind this. So some really cool things that I've either participated in or people have shared with me are some of the ideas I want to share with you. And that is maybe going to a shuttle launch together. Here in Florida, we have lots of opportunity to watch shuttles, and maybe not the space shuttle, but a space launch of some type. I guess I still consider them shuttle launches. But it could be a Starlink launch. It could be a rocket launch. Whatever that is, what's the science behind that? Could they bring their family, especially in the summer when they're trying to find perhaps things to do with the kids? What about a museum? Is there a local museum, or is there an artist that would help spur innovation? If you have a value as innovation, what are you doing to help spur that? And so it would certainly be interesting to say, we think that this is what art is, but art, in fact, is so personal, and so is innovation. because the ideas need to be unique. The ideas need to be something built on somebody else's idea. And so art is really good. What about zoo? Go into the zoo for the day. Talk about the animals. Have a lunch where everybody comes together. What if you partnered with an organization, maybe Big Brothers Big Sisters, or you brought at-risk kids in and you paired them up and they got to experience it with your kids and they got to make a friend? What about dog walking? Unfortunately, there are so many shelters that are packed filled. We have people who have not had their pets spayed or neutered. We have had people who have turned their pets back in after COVID, and now they're not the cute little puppy. This really happens right around March, April, May, because that cute little puppy at Christmas suddenly isn't so cute anymore. They're tearing things up. And so those pets, those dogs in particular, really need some people to go to those shelters, walk them, give them some exercise. And yes, it is sad. They go back into that kennel, but you can take photos. You can be able to really showcase how fun that dog is and how well they do around other dogs or how well they walk. And then you can give those volunteer opinions and you can do that together. What about cooking? Go into a Ronald McDonald House. Now, the Ronald McDonald House I've had personal experience with, and I was so grateful for a meal that was there after a very stressful day. And boy, was it comfort food. It was fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and corn, and I can tell you, I wolfed it down. To be able to go in and people to be able to make meals that could either go in the freezer or you have them there available for people to be able to have when they come back from the hospital and be able to know that there's food there that is actually good and kind of prepared with love. What about cleaning out your closet, doing a dress for success, having people bring things there, taking them all to the volunteer organization together? What about having local youth come in and be able to see what you do, help them with their homework, be able to sponsor a homework night and be able to help them with that math and spelling? What about bowling, going bowling? Of course, that's dear to my heart. Be able to have some time with them and be able to work with the youth or work with senior citizens by going to their place and even doing Wi-Fi or not Wi-Fi, what is it? The Nickelodeon bowling or doing the simulated bowling with them, or even if there's a skee ball or cornhole. I can tell you my mom at 88 is so good at cornhole. I lose all the time to her. So being able to play cornhole and be able to help those folks is so important because their days just become monotonous. There's somebody's parents. There's somebody's grandparents. Perhaps doing mock interviews. Help your folks prepare the next generation, how to shake your hand, how to have eye contact, how to set up a LinkedIn profile. I set up a LinkedIn profile with my niece who's 16, and it was wonderful to be able to help her see how valuable some of her skills are and how she should phrase those. Give time off to people to do what they wish to do if you can't find something for team building together. Then have part of your staff meeting focus on who did some activities, some volunteer work. Let's see the pictures, and we want to hear about the organization that you're supporting. Maybe you even all go to a movie. Maybe you even read a book together. Maybe you even just go to a park and picnic and bring everybody together. But don't do the same old stuff, and don't do something you just heard about so you're going to apply it to your organization. Think about when you do team building, what you do for team building, and who has to participate in team building, and is it really required? You might want to avoid some holidays if you have folks who don't observe holidays, because that could be something that is not building the team up. So I want you to think about all of those when you think you're just doing a team building session that your learning and development people set up for you. Being able to have people learn and grow in their own personal way is really, really key. And another key to your success is listening to this podcast every Monday morning. Thanks for listening to What the Heck is Happening in HR.